Welcome to She Speaks, the Female Truth, where two women navigate the ups and downs of life with humor, heart, and a whole lot of honesty.
Hi, welcome to She Speaks. We are on episode 4. Can you believe it?
No. I'm proud of us.
Yeah, I know. I'm so proud of us. It's been such an amazing ride already.
I was actually just thinking today, I was like, I feel like someone was meant to hear me.
You're welcome.
And then I was
You're
like,
welcome.
Then I was like, I don't know if that's like a half of a person or if like just one. I don't know. Like I didn't put a number behind it. Like there's so many people that are meant to hear me. I was just like, I feel like somebody's meant to hear me. Like I didn't say whether they'd like it or not. Like I just feel like they were meant for it.
Insert "You're Welcome" by Dwayne Johnson here.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's one of those things that you're like, I feel like I got so much to say. Let's just make a podcast.
That's literally why we're here. We have so much to say.
God.
Today is going to be a ride.
Ooh.
It's going to be a ride today. We are talking about in-laws. The big I-L word. Literally, they are monsters from another mother.
Yeah. I've heard that there are some good ones out there.
Love to meet one of them.
It's like they're like mermaids in the ocean. Like you hear about them.
Yes.
I have yet to see one. But
Do they exist? Comment below. Let us know if this
there's
is
got to be people out there that have a good relationship with their in-laws. Like just let us know.
Yeah.
I feel like it's really hard for me to speak on this subject because I just have a different dynamic. Like sadly, I have a different dynamic. Like my husband's mom sadly passed away at a really young age, and like very shortly after him and I, got together. It was actually really, really sad that she had gotten sick. So, I feel kind of robbed of it.
You're not missing anything.
Like,
I'm kidding.
but
That's so rude.
Maybe it would have been great. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And he has only one brother, and we have his dad, and I love his dad. I love his I love his dad. Like I just, it's not a typical traditional, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just, I think some people go through things and how they react to it all. Like I couldn't judge how I would be if I were to go through all those things of losing my wife and you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't know. So
now you moved from California to Minnesota because of your mother-in-law who was ill?
So I met my husband in California. So we moved here to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Before we were even married.
Right.
Because he had an opportunity to come back to Minnesota because his mom was sick. So he had an opportunity to come back with his job.
Yeah.
And be able to be with her.
So you met her.
I did, but she was already sick when I met her. So
Okay.
she got early onset Alzheimer's. So did I really meet her? I would say no.
Sure.
She was already in the thralls of the disease. So I don't feel like I ever actually met her.
Okay.
Or knew her.
And his mom and dad were married.
Yes.
And how is your relationship with dad?
It's fine. It's good. Like we love him. It's hard for I don't know what that's like, of having to go through all that stuff. He's had quite the life, and so I don't know. It's hard. Like I try not to judge anything. Like I asked him to walk me down the aisle because I didn't have my own father, and at the last minute He said he wasn't coming to the wedding.
Why?
I don't know.
He never said?
So I walked myself down.
Did you get married? You got married here in Minnesota, and he's from Minnesota.
Yeah.
He lives here. He didn't even go to the wedding at all.
So there's things like that that obviously makes me really sad. But, you know, I try not to pass any judgment only because I haven't lived that way. So it's hard for me to know, like, to judge when I don't know why.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I don't know the reasons why, so I can't say whether or not I agree with you or not
Yeah.
because I don't know your reasons.
Right.
So it's weird. It's hard. Like, it's
Yeah.
complicated.
Right.
Or like I always tell my kids, it's just not that simple. You know, it's just not a simple answer.
What about the relationship that your husband had with your parents?
Well, nobody ever knew my dad because he left when I was 12. And so my husband met my mom, and she actually came here when I had my first two. And she came when they were born. I didn't have anybody to watch them, and no daycare would take twins and all that other stuff. Like, nobody can handle two infants. And so she did come, and she was here for about 2.5 years. And it was really hard in the sense of I was really happy that I had my mom again. And I was really happy that she got to be with Matt and Bella, with my two babies. They were the only ones I had at the time. And like, that was great. That was great. I feel like it was hard because and this is me making a speculation. It's not like this was said to me, but I feel like it was hard because my mom lived a really hard life, like a really hard life. And I think when you're done wrong by so many people, and again, our podcast is not about bashing men.
No.
But
or even our in-laws. Like, we're just speaking like our experiences from it, and like,
so I think that, you know, she had 2 marriages that failed in the sense of she wasn't treated right. And my dad wasn't good to her. You know, it was toxic and abusive. And my mom, she just lived she lived a really hard life from the get-go. Like, her mother was really abusive, hated girls, put the boys on a pedestal, like, just did really terrible things to my mother. And I think when you grow up like that, and then you have marriages like that, and then it was, from my understanding, a really tough custody battle, and then she lost us kids. Well, I'm the only one between my mom and my dad, but also my older sister, which was her daughter, went to my dad. My half sister went to my dad as well, which I still don't fully understand that, even at 46. So I think she lived a really tough life, and she was homeless for a long time, and she just, I think, again, this is my speculation, I think she became very jaded by a lot of things. So my husband is very, we joke around about it. It's not a negative thing, but we joke around about how he's so military. Like, she takes that, like, as a controlling thing when it's not really. I mean, do I really look like I can be controlled?
I think it's the opposite.
Let's just,
Let's call it kettle black.
I'm like, oh, really? You're going to what? Okay, this is going to be funny.
Yeah.
But I think she just didn't know him. And I don't know if she was ready to get to know him because she didn't meet him prior.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
Because she lived in another state.
Right.
And
Came in after the babies.
yeah, so would it be different if they met now? Probably so. Like, she's in a different place, he's in a different place, like all of those things. So I don't know, but it was really difficult. It was really difficult because I love my mom and I love my husband.
Yeah.
And I love my mom for all these reasons. And I love my husband for all these other reasons. And it's really hard when you're looking at both and you're like, how do I love them both and be there for both, but
Yeah.
not, you know what I mean?
How did you find that balance? Or did you just kind of pick your husband and say, I mean, what was that like? That decision?
I'm really lucky that my husband is, he has a really, really good heart. Meaning, even if somebody isn't kind to him or does or says things that isn't kind or does or says things that aren't true, like, he still will do everything for you. Like, he's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he'll still, this sounds so cliche to say, well, what would Jesus do kind of thing?
Yeah.
But he still always goes back to, and he's that way with everybody all the time. He always goes, like, he doesn't get ran over, but he always goes back and says, well, what type of person am I supposed to be? Like, am I supposed to still give grace, show kindness, and do all those things? So he still made those choices. So it was just really difficult. And I don't think my mom was fully prepared to live in Minnesota, because I'll tell you, I hate Minnesota. Like,
Has she always lived in California, other than the time that she came here for a little while?
she lived in California and Washington.
Okay.
So it's the same, like, we flip-flopped those two states. But this sounds weird, but Minnesota will destroy you. If you're not from here, it breaks you down.
It does. Yeah.
And it sounds so bad for me to
Right.
say that, but this state literally makes me depressed. And I have a really difficult time living in this state.
Yeah. No, I
And
get it. Especially on days like, we're in the winterest months, and
Yeah. And I think that played a part in it. I think just in the moment life played a part. But it was hard. But I had this talk to my kids. We were talking about something I can't remember, and I was like, they were talking to me about my childhood, because I'm honest with them and I talk to them about things. And I say, you know what I think it is? So many people put parents up on a pedestal, whether they're your parents, your in-laws, or whatever. Like, you have this mentality that they're supposed to act and do a certain thing a certain way. And when they don't meet those expectations, you're crushed.
Sure.
Or you're like, what the, like, seriously? Like, what is going on?
Right.
And I learned at a really young age not to put my parents on that, only because my father left me and, like, all these things. So I felt like, and I had, at a very young age, at 12, I had like a slap in the face of, holy shit, these are actual people. Whereas I think you don't look at adults as people.
Right. And their histories and the things that come with them and made them who they are.
Right. So you mean you have feelings?
Yeah.
You mean that, wait, you can get crushed just like I can get crushed? Like, that's not normal. Like, you can be selfish just like me as a kid can be selfish. You're not supposed to be, though. Because you're not supposed to be selfish.
No.
You're not supposed to make any decisions for yourself. They're always supposed to be for your kid. And you're not supposed to matter anymore.
It kind of goes back to our podcast last week, where we talked about walking the tightrope. If you haven't yet, go back and listen.
Yeah, it's really hard. So I don't know. I think I just kind of learned not to put him up on this pedestal, and I think about that stuff. So my husband and I would always have these conversations, and it's not a free pass. It doesn't give you an excuse for any behavior or words that you might have said that you hurt somebody. But it kind of gives you perspective and understanding of what might be going on in the moment. And I try to talk to my mom almost every day still. And it makes me sad that I haven't seen her. I haven't seen her since she left when my kids were 2.5.
Really? So, that was going to be my next question. So,
Yeah.
like when it comes to holidays and things like that, what is that like? So you just don't go there, and she doesn't come here.
No, it's not a traditional situation. It just isn't.
Yeah.
And
Well, and that's tough, right? Because what is a traditional?
yeah,
What is a normal? I don't think there is one.
yeah. Well, it's not a Hallmark movie, I'll tell you that. But I hear you have a Hallmark movie.
Well, I was going to ask first before we get to my dilemma, my soap opera. What are things like with your brother-in-law?
So we now they're good. Yeah, there was a period of time that we didn't see him, like probably about 10 years.
Okay.
For reasons like, he was going through things, and yeah, it's I'll be honest and upfront, it was heartbreaking in the moment because those two were like best friends and they only have each other.
The brothers.
Yeah. And
What's the age gap there?
6 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So but life happens. Shit happens. Yeah. And sometimes you got to go through things to learn and to grow, right? And then you come back to a space. So, right now we see each other. Like we've seen each other now in contact, I think, for about 3.5 years.
Okay.
And yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say though, my thoughts behind the whole thing is, when you have expectations of somebody, number one, if you don't make them known, it's really difficult to live up to those expectations. And also, you can't expect something from somebody who's never had that. Meaning, like, you can't expect all of a sudden to have some storybook family Hallmark movie when you're expecting it out of somebody that has never had that.
Right.
Like, they don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Like,
I get it.
And I think sometimes people, that's what they want. And so that's what they want of you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. It's hard because I have moments where I feel like I'm doing the best I can with what I have. And if that's not good enough, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Then maybe I'm not for you. And that's fine. Like that's fine.
Right.
I married my husband and made a commitment to him.
Yes. Not to the family.
Not to everybody else. Do I still try? Absolutely. Do I ever tell him not to? Nope. I'm never going to tell him not to.
Yeah.
That's for him to decide, and he has to be in that place. But yes, in-laws are tricky.
Well, I think you're way more forgiving than me.
Which is really funny because, for the longest time, I actually was just like, you look at me wrong, you are dead to me. Like, one thing,
Yeah.
I will cut, with the shank from prison, I will stab you. Like, terrible. Like, terrible. I was terrible, but I felt like I was burnt so many times. And, like,
Yeah.
it was not nice. And my husband now, he would always tell me, like, even when we first met, I'd be like, Kathy, you can't do that. You can't act like that. You can't say that. And I was like, the hell I can't. You can't tell me what to do. It's like.
See, I don't have that filter. My husband just kind of like steps back and he puts his hands up and he's like, oh, God, help whoever is in her path right now.
Oh, my God.
He does not try to rein me in.
He does. I would say he doesn't try to rein me in.
Not in that sense of, yeah.
But I think he's just like, okay, number one, I don't want her to go back to the person that she used to be.
The kids need their mother.
Right.
She can't be in prison right now. We need to keep her home.
I still have my moments that I'm just like, they better hope I choose Jesus instead of violence because I'm about to murder somebody. Okay,
Oh my gosh.
just erase those tapes if something ever happens and I just said I'm about to murder somebody.
I will.
I want no evidence.
I will. I'll make sure to cut this tape. No pun intended.
I just, oh my gosh. And he's just like, you don't want to be that person. And I don't, like, at heart, I don't.
Right.
In my heart, I don't.
I don't either, but
After
it doesn't help.
I've thought about it for a long time.
Yeah.
But I have those moments. I've had those moments even recently that I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna kill you. Like,
Yeah.
you better hope I have a change of heart in
Yeah.
the last 32 seconds of your life, or we're done. like, I could throat punch you right now and probably enjoy it. Like,
Yeah.
actually get like really good feelings from it.
Yeah.
I'm not a nice person. I'm not, but I'm
You
trying.
are. You
I'm
are, though.
trying.
You are a forgiving person. My husband, like I said, and my kids, they step back because they don't want to be involved.
Dad, Mom is starting again.
They do. They literally back off because they're like, we're not going to get in the middle. It's kind of like I'm a lioness in the wilderness fighting another lioness.
Oh my God.
And my pack is like, nope, let mama fight this out. Like, we're not getting involved. We're not going to get scarred. So they step back, but they know.
So you like to choose violence.
I love to choose violence. That's always the answer.
I tell that to my kids all the time. I'm like, violence is always the answer. And my son's always like, Mom, that's not very nice. And I'm like, what? Says the kid who's lived a great life.
I know. You don't know.
Just wait till you get a little older, buddy.
Yeah. I think we have like a callus that we build. And our kids are just precious
That
little.
sucker's a mountain right now, that callus. It's like the hemorrhoid that you get when you have kids that doesn't go away.
Yeah, it just sticks forever.
Oh my God. In-laws.
Yes. Yep.
What's your dynamic?
Well, my husband and my parents get along great.
Your parents, your husband.
Yeah, they get
Okay.
along great.
So his in-laws. So
Okay.
he gets along great with his in-laws.
I'm being completely sarcastic.
Oh.
But yeah.
Really?
No, well, we'll start with
Okay.
let's start with my mother-in-law. Let's start with that because sit down, folks.
The woman that
Grab your popcorn.
birthed your son. Your husband. I was trying to connect the dots in my head there for a minute.
Yes. And let me just say, I do love my mother-in-law. I forgive her for all of the things.
Forgiveness is a good thing.
I do. And I do forgive her and I do love her and I want what's best for her, but I do not want her in my life at all whatsoever. I will not say hello to her.
Your pupils are like really dilated.
Are they getting red? I'm telling you,
If you start breathing fire, girl.
it's coming up in my belly. It is coming up in my belly. I have a lot of feelings about this. I mean, I was kind of excited about this topic because I have a lot to say.
Okay. Damn it, I forgot my popcorn.
Get your popcorn, folks, because I do not get along with my mother-in-law. I never did. I don't remember.
Not
a
even
time.
from the beginning.
Nope.
Okay.
So here's the type of environment. Let me backstory into the type of person that she is. Because like you said with your mother, she had a history in her life that made her the person that she is. And you like give her grace for that and you have a lot of understanding. My mother-in-law also had a I don't want to say she had a hard life because it seems to me from what I have heard, she has like I think she has two sisters and like two brothers.
Okay.
And I think she has like half brother, half sisters, like in that mix. But everyone else turned out, I'm going to say the phrase, turned out okay. Everyone else seemed to turn out okay.
Okay.
And so I can't say that her life was so hard that it was what created her.
Okay.
I'm not giving her that excuse.
It's almost like she just actively made those decisions.
She made decisions in her life. So she got pregnant with my brother-in-law. So my husband's brother got pregnant with him, unmarried. And
which things happen.
They happen. I got pregnant without, getting married twice. So I get it. Not judging. But she never really, and she was living, I think at the time in New Mexico, where she had my husband and his brother. And then she chose, for one reason or another, to move to Minnesota.
Why would you choose that? But that's a whole different
I think because her family was from here.
Okay.
And she needed help raising the boys. And so, and then I've learned throughout the years, she never asked for child support. She never asked for financial help. And talked very ill of the dad.
Okay.
At least to me, and from my understanding to also my husband. But she had a lot of I did this by myself. I raised these boys by myself.
Okay.
But never asked for help financially from the dad. And so I don't know. I have feelings about that, but whatever. So when I came into the picture and met my husband, and I think I talked about this in one of our past episodes about my husband was was never told to clean, do laundry, do his homework. Who are you hanging out with? She just wasn't involved in that way. And I think because her boys became in a very twisted, manipulative way, unhealthy, just sick, became her men that she needed in her life to help her be grow, I guess. I don't know, but she needed them in her life.
Okay.
And so you know how they say a mama's boy. That's what I feel happened. And so she was
That's a lot of pressure on them, though.
It is, but I think my husband still feels that of I need to take care of her because she's done so much for me and was this single mom and all the things. But but for me, it's kind of she didn't even, I don't know, when I had my daughter, I was dude, you're paying child support. You're helping contribute to this financially. And I didn't even really have to have that conversation because my husband was here's child support. We never fought about it. He was let me help financially. And he always has. But I don't know. It's hard for me to feel sorry for you when you complain about how tough it was when you didn't even ask for the help.
I get what you're saying.
So anyways, I don't give her a pass on it. But in any case, when I came into the picture, she felt that I was trying to take him away from her.
So you were kind of competition.
I was big competition.
Sort of. Okay.
And I also felt at the same token that I was being the mother because I was get away from that lifestyle. Let's do good, safe things, healthy things, go to movies and go to dinner and go to the mall and go for walks, not party. Let's do better choices. And she didn't see it that way. She saw me taking him away from her. It is the way it is. So when I remember when I had my oldest and I called her to say, hey, my water broke. I'm heading to the hospital. She literally told me, she was you win. You win. And I'm wow, I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't.
I'm winning because I'm about to shoot this kid out of me? Or
because I trapped him.
Oh.
She felt I trapped him by getting pregnant.
So maybe because she didn't ask for help, she wasn't entrapping the dad, but you are.
Right. Yep. And then when I asked for child support, she was insulted that I was asking him for financial help. Whatever. So it was very...
Well, when you're there to enjoy making it, then you can enjoy raising it.
Right.
Which I'm not... He doesn't... It's not that he bucked it, you know what I mean?
But yes. But she saw it as, I should do this on my own. And...
well, if you were a stronger woman...
If I was stronger, but I just wasn't. I was just a girl. I'm just a baby. I swear to God, that woman. Okay, so I have her...
Maybe we shouldn't be talking about this.
So I have my daughter, and my mom says, we're at the hospital, and my mom says, hey, do you want to hold your first grandbaby? Her response, Kathy, was, I don't want to hold that thing. Suddenly, my baby was a thing.
Oh, you mean this gorgeous, beautiful baby that brings so much happiness to the world?
Was a thing to her. And then forward years, and she, she worked not far from my mom, and my mom was a licensed daycare provider. She did daycare out of her home for multiple families. It wasn't just mine, and she worked less than half a mile from my mom. And my mom was like, come and give her a bottle whenever you want. You can come, take her to the park whenever you want. Whatever you want.
Encouraging
come and
the
see
relationship.
Her.
And
never did. Never came to give her a bottle. Never came to take her to the park or a walk. Just never was involved. And I wish there was an excuse. I wish that I could say it was because she had a hard life or because, and even then to me, and this is just my truth, right? In my opinion, call me out if, but even if you had that hard of a life, don't you want to break this cycle?
Yes.
And be like, you know what? My parents sucked. I'm going to be there for my grandkid. I'm going to be there. I'm going to do these things. I'm going to, why would you not? It's so hard for me. And this is why I don't hate her, but I have such frustration towards her and just not understanding it, and forwarding even more. Again, hope you're enjoying your popcorn. Forward even a couple more. You can tell I have a lot of feels about this.
If a certain someone's listening, you can choke on it.
I know. Exactly.
Be kind. Choose kind words. Choose kind words.
I don't have kind words. I don't. But I was like, okay, forward even more years. And even though me and her never got along, she felt I was stealing her son away, all the things. She had her own business growing up. And when she, I'll say retired, sold her business, she had her home. But she never saved for retirement. She never had a 401k, right? Never had deferred comp because she had her own business. So she never had that contribution. And so as she got older, her mother passed away and she realized, oh my gosh, I don't have a lot to give my kids when they pass, when I pass on. And so she kept talking about finances. She was really getting stressed out about it. It was my decision to say, honey, let's have her move in with us. Because although I had all of this spite towards her, all of this anger, and her towards me, I felt it was the right thing to do to help her as family to you don't have to worry about finances anymore. So she moved in with us. And what that looked like on a day-to-day basis was she sat in her room and watched Christian videos and sermons and listened to Christian music and judged everyone around her. And she walked on water, but she judged everyone around her, which I'm a Christian. I go to church on Sundays. I listen to worship music, but she is the person that brings Christianity a bad name.
I'm better than you.
Yes. And very damning.
Newsflash, we're all sinners.
No, not her. But it was whatever, that's what you want to do with your life, But my parents live an hour and a half away. And my kids spent more time with my parents who lived an hour and a half away, more than they did with her, even though she lived in our four walls.
Wow.
She wasn't let's make cookies, let's go on walks, let's bake or sew, whatever grandmas do.
Or talk.
Never did those things with my kids. And so that it was really hard. And then...
well, I'm sure it's hard for them because they don't fully understand why.
Mm-hmm. And then they think they're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And it got to the point after a few years of this, and it was to the point where when I would come home, I would get sick. Because I knew I was walking into that. Yeah. And she didn't help out around the house, which I'm not asking for that, but don't not help and live here for free. We never asked her to do groceries. We never, like, it was just, you know, and
Yeah.
just live here and live a happy life and do good things. And that's all I wanted. And all she would do was judge my marriage. Like, did you give Adam a hug today? Like, why didn't you, like, you just got home from work, Deborah, go hug him. Like, what are you telling me how to live my marriage? Like,
Right.
who are you? Like, tell me how your marriage is. Oh, that's right. You're not married. But she was so quick to judge my marriage and how I raised my kids. Like, I would let my kids go hang out at a friend's house. And she thought, oh my gosh, how can you let them do that? Like, what if they're listening to devil music? What if they're, like, doing drugs? Okay, ma'am, Miss Ma'am, you want to judge my parenting? My kids are getting A's and B's in school. They have amazing friends. And, like, by this time, your kids were out getting high, going to parties, stealing things, and you're going to judge my stuff?
It's hard to look at yourself, though.
I can't understand that woman. So anyways, I kicked her out. I told my husband, I said, we got into it one day. I said, look, you're not doing anything around here. Stop judging me. Stop doing the things. Like, I can't have it anymore. And I was literally getting to this breaking point. And I said, you have 2 weeks to get out. And I went downstairs, bawled my eyeballs out, and my husband was like, you know, are you sure? And I'm like, this is for my mental health.
Yeah.
And so our relationship has always been and will always be toxic, unhealthy, unforgiving.
Now, do your kids know all of the things now at their age?
I have never told Hannah that she said that about her birth.
Sorry, Hannah, if you're listening.
Sorry, baby. I didn't even think of that when I said it.
We'll have to edit that out.
We'll have to edit that out.
Edit the whole episode.
Cut it. I've never told her because I don't want her thinking differently of her. Like, that's her, you know, thing. But,
Sometimes it's okay to know the truth about people and still, like, to know details.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like she's 10 years old.
Right.
She's an adult.
Yeah.
She's in her own relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming at some point, maybe in the semi-near future, she also will be getting married and have kids.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like our kids still fragile. Of course, we always
Right.
think of them as that, but it's not like she's a young child that can't even like understand the concept.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think once they reach a certain age, you know.
I do know that my oldest knows enough of her own witnessing what this woman is capable of. Not from me
Kids aren't
saying
stupid.
things. Yeah, not from me saying things. Because, again, I never told her about what she said the day of her birth. That's not for me. This is like my kid's grandmother. Like, this is my husband's mom. But my oldest has said when she gets married, she is not inviting her to the wedding. Like, even her seeing and witnessing, like, growing up and how she would talk bad about my parents to her. And you know, and my oldest, Hannah, she was like, but my grandma and grandpa are great people. They do great things. Like, they invite me over. Like, we do baking. And it was a competition to her all the time. She always felt like she was competing with my parents.
So if she put them down verbally, then maybe she'd get a
somehow
leg
was an
up on
equal
it.
playing field or something.
But you didn't ever talk to your kids badly about
No.
their
No.
grandma, which is interesting that you say that, because that is one thing from my childhood that really stuck out to me was even through all of the bad things. Like, obviously my mother and my father had a history. Like, obviously there's a reason why they got a divorce. There's a reason why things happen. Me and my mom didn't have actual, I don't want to say the word honest conversations because it makes it sound like she's lying, which it isn't.
Yeah.
But she never spoke bad about my father to me. And now that I'm 46, that is what I distinctly remember
Yeah.
through childhood, all of the things. So even when she would get us for visitation and stuff like that, she never talked bad about him. Even when he left, and she came to get me, didn't say anything bad about him.
Yeah.
Like all of the things. And then it wasn't until, oh man, probably my late 20s or even early 30s when we would have more and more conversations. She would tell me stories, like
Right.
things that had happened.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like she was trying to feed me things to make me hate him.
Right.
And
That's so important.
yes.
And I will say, as my kids got older and they saw my mental health diminish because of these things, of her living there, I mean, yeah, I would say things like,
So they saw what it was doing to you.
They saw what it was doing to me. And then, yeah, we'd have those conversations of like, she just doesn't like me. It's not you. She loves you guys. And Hannah's like, she doesn't though.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't want me calling her grandma. She doesn't want to spend time with me. And I'm like, she loves you. She just doesn't have that mothering nature to her. Whereas my mother has a very heavy, like very nurturing,
Like,
loving.
come here, my little baby chickens.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And so I think, then yes, my kids would know how I felt about how I was being treated. And I don't like fake people either. So like if you're going to talk about me and you're going to like hate up on me, and then in public you're going to be like, oh, Deborah, come here. Look, she would do this all the time. She would talk shit about me. She would put me down. She'd judge me all the time. And no matter what I did, Kathy, like nothing was ever good enough for this woman. I tried everything to be there for this woman. I never did anything to her.
If I'm not good enough for you at my low point, I'm not good enough for you at my high point. If I'm not good enough for you behind closed doors, I'm damn sure not good enough for you for your little fakeness out in public. Yeah.
But she would do that. She would be like, she'd talk all this smack, and then we'd go over to my husband's aunts for like Christmas, and she'd be like, oh, Debbie, oh, hug. And I'm like, bleh.
Get your hands off me.
Like, what are you doing? Like, you're trying to pretend? Like, and she'd do that to my kids too. Like, oh, look at me loving the kids. Like, I literally went by a snow hill a couple days ago with my youngest daughter, and she was like, oh, I remember Grandma taking me to that snow hill. And I said, oh my God, she took you sledding? And she goes,
no, she took me on the hill and pushed me down. But
No, it gets better. No. I wish that's what she did. Do you know what she did?
I wish she pushed you down a hill.
I wish she pushed her down a hill. She sat in the car and said, there's the snow hill. I'll be here.
Oh.
But that gave her rights to say, I took the grandkids sledding. Lily literally took herself sledding. I mean, like.
My grandma was my Uber.
That's literally what it was.
Oh
and
my
the thing is like, I would love to take accountability and say that I judged her or I said something mean to her.
Yeah.
Or I would love if it was that simple for that I could say and take ownership. I think it would help me like cope with all of the things that she's brought into my life. But I've literally done nothing. I swear on my life, I've done nothing but give this woman compassion and trust.
You took her child.
I took her son. That is what I did.
Doesn't matter if you actually literally did something.
Yeah.
It's, reality is people's perception of reality, though. And that's one thing, as much as we hate it, feelings are still truth.
Yeah.
Because they're your truth. They're your feelings, just like her feelings are her truth. Even though we might not think they're valid, they're not logical whatsoever, and they're not warranted. Like, her behavior is most definitely not, she doesn't have a right to that behavior given circumstances.
Yeah.
But I think that's the hard part, at least for me, and like healing and moving past a lot of these hurdles that I have had and I'm still trying to move past, even though I've been alive almost half a century. It's like I always have to remember those feelings and emotional, like your outbursts and your actions and reactions, as much as they're not logical, definitely not necessary, hypocritical, like all of the things, it's still the truth to them.
Right.
So in her mind, you did do something,
Yeah, that's very true.
which I'm not saying I'm on team in-law,
No, I couldn't.
but it's
That's
hard. I think it's
Yeah,
hard
I
when you
love that.
can't make amends to it.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I always feel like I'm caught in these situations sometimes, even now at my age, that I'm always like, I'm really sorry I made you feel that way. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I feel, then I get in my moments where I'm just like, oh my God, I'm constantly saying I'm sorry.
Right.
And then I have my fits and outbursts and rage moments where I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, you don't deserve my sorry.
Yeah.
You don't deserve anything.
Right. You get to a breaking point.
Yes.
And I think that's what it was when I told her she needed to move out. And even then, like, and you know what it was over? I asked her if she could help clean the kitchen or something like that. And she
Well, that's a deal breaker.
then she came in and I forget what she said, but she made some smart ass comment about how it's not her house or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was. And I was like, but yeah, and I got it was like the breaking point to me, because I was like, I don't ask you to do anything around here, but like we just had dinner. I'd love if you could just put dishes in the dishwasher. And my husband was there, my kids were there in the kitchen, and she got in my face. And we have a guard dog. And my guard dog like got in between us and looked at her and was like, "Ruff." Like wasn't going to attack her.
Maybe.
Wasn't going to like eat her, not even bite her, but she was like giving off the warning of like, which
Back
she's
up.
trained to do, back off.
Yeah.
And she went to hit my dog. And that's when I was like, you're done.
Yeah.
You're done. You can talk shit about me. You can put me down. You can do all of the things. But like when you're going to like hit my dog,
Yeah.
that was a breaking point to me.
Have you ever seen that movie 300
No, I don't think so.
with the Spartans? No.
Yes.
So Gerard Butler's in it.
He is my
That's-
hall pass.
Well, there you go.
He is
go
so tasty. He's so tasty.
go and watch the movie again.
Yeah.
But when I get to that point, I tell my children all the time, I said, do you know what it's like living in my head? I am literally Gerard Butler, and you're standing at the well.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what? And I'm like, this is Sparta. And I'm kicking you off because
Yeah.
you're literally bringing me to the point that if I don't kick you off the cliff to leave me alone, we're both going over the cliff together.
Right.
And you're not going to like how you die.
Right.
Like, you're just like,
Yes.
you're bringing me to the point that I have so much rage inside of me. So if I don't kick you forcefully into the well of death, if you haven't seen the movie, it's old, go see it.
Yeah.
But that's like literally the bubbling point inside of me. Because
Yeah.
I had one of those points not too long ago. And I'm just like knife in hand, like if I swear to God, if you don't, like, either I'm kicking you over or I'm going to run and tackle you and we're both going over, and
Yeah.
it's not going to be pretty.
It's like when a ship is going down, it's like I'll throw you a raft, but I'm not like we're not
Well,
like
I'll stab the raft first.
in some situations. But like if it's only like I'm not going down with you. If you're struggling to swim and you're pulling me down with you, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. You can drown on your own. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'll throw you a raft, but like, I'm not going to volunteer myself as tribute. I'm not going to sacrifice my life or my mental health to accommodate you anymore. And that's the point I got to with her.
Yeah.
And
How is it now though?
so after she moved out, she moved in with a guy that she hated, and she'd talk
That's a good
smack
reason.
about him all the time, and she'd use him for money all the time. But, whatever. She moved in with him, and she's living there now. And we would talk still, and I'd let her come over, and we were cordial.
Okay.
It was my mother-in-law. But my daughter, a few years ago, gosh, not even a few, it was like right when we had the vaccines. So what was that, like 3 years ago? Like when the
Yeah.
vaccines came out, right? So we had this COVID thing, and she was an elderly woman. And so we didn't want to see her to put her at risk.
Yeah.
So we would see her from afar. We'd stand up on the balcony of our house, like our deck, and our balcony, the balcony on our
Wave
west wing, and
to the
just
common people.
yes. The balcony on our west wing, because the north wing was like being remodeled. But no, from our deck of our sardine can that we live in, we'd talk, and it was nice. But my daughter at the time, she was going through something in her life and felt that she was bisexual and came out to all of us. And as any, like what I did was I was like, okay, end. Like I didn't give attention to it. I was just like, okay, end. And she thought I was going to like either be mad or like what. I was just like, whatever. Like, you're my daughter. I'm going to love you like whatever. And the rest of the world is going to judge you. The last thing I'm going to do is judge you. Like you need a safety net and I'm going to be that safety net. So that's fine. I'm happy you're happy. Let me know if I can do anything, right? When she found out, when the mother-in-law found out, she took things differently.
Yeah.
And the vaccine had just come out. And so my youngest was like, hey, I've been vaccinated. And my mother-in-law came over to visit. She brought like chicken or something like that. And she was outside. And she goes, my youngest is like, can I go give her a hug? And I'm like, yep, you've been vaccinated. Like, you don't have any symptoms. Like, absolutely. So she went out there to give her a hug. She came inside and she goes, well, she won't hug me. She says she doesn't hug gay people. I gave her a hug and I said, well, I hug lesbians all day, every day. And because my heart was shattered for her. And I looked at my oldest, like, get out there. Because if I go out there, the police will be called. And now, not that it's relevant, but now my daughter, like, loves boys and she's infatuated with the boys. But, like, the thing is, like, for whatever reason, you chose to hate my daughter during whatever time in her life and show hatred towards her.
Well, the reality is she still should have just been her grandkid.
Here's the hug.
Like, these outside details shouldn't matter.
Right.
Like, you can not approve of somebody's lifestyle and still love them through everything.
Right. And show support and compassion. Like, you don't have to agree with it. I never said, like, start wearing shirts, go to the Pride Parade, like, put a flag in your yard. Like, I'm not asking for you to agree with this. But this is your granddaughter, and you should love her regardless. Yeah. You don't have to support it. No one's asking you to support it. But love her. And she couldn't love her. And
well, the reality
I'm done now. So now I want nothing to do with her. I will not wave to her. I will not look in her direction. Like, because I am I'm shaking right now. Like, I can
tell you're heated.
I am like, my jaw is shaking.
Maybe we shouldn't have had this episode.
My jaw is shaking. My insides are shaking. Like, I am a lioness. If you don't know me, I am a lioness for my kids.
Yeah.
And I will hunt you. I will hunt you if you hurt them. Like, and this isn't even a threat. Like, this is like a promise. Like, I will protect my kids. Like, I literally have a tattoo on my chest of a lion and her 2 cubs. Like, I will fight for my children.
Yeah.
And when you show any disrespect towards my kids, I am freaking done.
I think it's really hard when you're kind of married into a relationship. So it's not blood. It's not like it's your mother that gave birth to you.
Right.
So it's not like you owe her anything. So I think it's really hard to stick by those, show grace, love someone through it. Like, it's really, really hard, especially when they cross the line where they do something wrong to your kids.
Yeah.
And then you can't forget it. So I'm terrible about it's really hard for me to give forgiveness to somebody who doesn't ask for it, number one, even though people always talk about you forgive people for yourself. I have a hard time believing that.
Sure.
Because I sit there, I'm like, but you didn't ask for it and you haven't shown any reason that you deserve it.
Yeah.
Like, I struggle with that, even though I think logically it's not supposed to be that way. But my emotions are too tied up into it still.
Yeah.
But I think it's really hard. Like, you can go through something and like, we did say you did something to me. Okay, fine, let's talk about it. But my problem is you ruined it.
Right.
Like, it'll never go either back to how it was, or it'll never go to how it should have been in the first place because of your actions. Like, you literally ruined it.
Yeah. Yep.
And there's no going back. And I
Right.
think a lot of people live this life thinking, well, if I just say sorry, it's fine.
Right. Yeah.
But it doesn't work that way.
Right.
Sorry is for you. Sorry is a very selfish thing. You saying I'm sorry is you're just trying to, satisfy your feeling. Oh, I'm sorry. That doesn't acknowledge what you did or how you made somebody feel. So, but the hard part too is I will never forget what you did.
Yeah.
I will never forget how you made me or my children feel, which you won't. And your kid won't.
Right.
So how do you even move past that? But it sounds like you don't.
I don't. I'm done. But you know what? That being said, I have told Lily, my youngest, I'm like, what, Dad's going over to have dinner with your mom, with your grandmother, and I won't even say your grandmother anymore. I'm like, she's just, I won't say her name. She is just a person to me, and I'm like,
make your choice.
So
like you can decide.
So and so is having dinner at her house. Dad's going. Do you want to go with? And on occasion, she'll go. She'll go, and she, Lily is very forgiving. She's like you. She's very like forgiving. She doesn't forgive her. She said, I don't forgive her for that, but it's my dad's mom, and I love her for that.
Yeah.
I love my kid that she is so like, she just has a better heart, and just can like, it's Dad's mom. Like, I'm going to go because it's Dad's mom, and she can do that, and I support that. I am like, go for it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to step in the way of that. I'm just personally done. And I've said that 100 times. Like, don't hate her because I do. Or don't go there because of me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm okay with you going there.
Make your own choices.
Make your own choices. And she chooses to sometimes go. My oldest is done. My oldest is like, I don't want to talk to her. She texts her like, happy birthday. And my daughter doesn't even respond. She's like, I don't do this
But
fake
she's
with
had a
me.
few more years on her.
She has. Yep. And
That's hard.
And my parents, I think that my parents tolerate my husband. Again, we grew up young. I'd sneak him into the house. He had,
Naughty.
a background of like the devil's lettuce. And my parents, for obvious reasons, as I would not have much respect for a guy who did those things, who snuck into the house, did drugs, but he's the father of my kids, of their grandchildren.
Yeah.
And so they would never, like, to his face, say anything. They would always be like, oh, hey, man, like, how's it going? Like, oh, yeah, come over. And they totally love him. And I think they love him. And I think I don't know if they respect him, but they love him. And
maybe they respect certain parts.
Certain parts, and
like the fact that even though you guys had a child young, that he's still there.
Yeah.
Yep. Like he still made choices. He still chose to be in their life. He still chose to be a dad. And obviously you guys are married now and everything.
Right. But we went through a time where my husband and I were separated. And we can talk about that another time. But where my parents were, he didn't live with us. And he lived with his mom and some friends and all those things. And my mom and dad were maybe like, ugh, when I said he's coming back. They were like, ugh. Like, are you sure? But super supportive. Because, again, it's my choice.
You, but no.
They see me as an adult. They trust my decisions. And they respect my decisions. And they respect my kids, dad, him as a father. But
in-laws are hard.
Yeah. So we actually have statistics, and we're really late on this, but one statistic that I read was when a man gets along with his in-laws, the likelihood of a marriage lasting increases 20%. So that's crazy. And then, but here's the really crazy part. When a woman has an in-law closely involved, it actually increases the divorce rate by 20%.
So does that mean women are less tolerant?
I think women are less tolerant. I think like for me, knowing how my mother-in-law feels about me, I shut off. And me and my husband have arguments over it.
The woman dynamic is really difficult, though.
Yeah.
Like, between, it's like, I feel like it's like your husband, the man dealing with the in-laws, is a way different, process than the mom. You have this woman, oh, she's taking my son, like all of those things.
Right.
It's hard. And then you can't relate because you don't have boys.
Right.
And mine is too young at that point. I'm really hoping I'm not that type of person unless she's a hussy or something.
You know what's funny? Like my oldest is getting ready. I'm hoping they'll get engaged soon. I love this guy. But let's say I didn't. My husband and I made a conscious choice before our daughters even started dating that we are not getting involved in
Like
our
at
kids.
all?
We are not telling our kids unless there's a violence or like domestic
something
or something
serious.
serious. We are not going to say, you really should leave him. If it's a marriage thing, if it's like an engagement thing, like if it's a boyfriend, like I remember Hannah having boyfriends and I'm like, okay, honey, no.
So you don't want to turn into all of these things that you're going through right now.
We refuse to be those in-laws. We want to be loving. And even if I didn't like this guy that she will hopefully get engaged to, even if we didn't like him, I would never tell her. It is not my relationship to judge.
Unless he crosses certain lines.
Unless he crosses a certain line.
Okay.
It is not my, and she's called me and been like, oh my gosh, like we got in, they don't really fight, but like there was a time where she was like, oh my gosh, and I was like, part of me would be like, my mom would be like, oh my gosh, Deborah, like you don't tolerate that. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh yeah, what are you gonna do? It is not my place to tell. And so my husband and I made a very conscious decision years ago that when it comes to a point where we know it's gonna be like a marriage or like, we knew they've been dating almost 4 years.
Okay.
So we're like, okay, this is serious.
Serious enough.
We're not going to be those in-laws. We will not tell her how we feel, except all good things.
I would like to hope that I'm gonna be okay. I can't guarantee it. I don't know. It's weird. I have a really hard time because my oldest are so young still.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that
they're
would
not
be hard
even,
for me to.
They're not even 15 yet.
Right.
So I think because I've never reached that stage.
Yeah.
That I'm just like, nope, you're living with me forever and I'm going to run your life and all of the things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, like I said, I'm a lioness. I will hunt you.
Oh.
And don't get me wrong,
Oh.
if this guy hurts her,
I'll kill you in a heartbeat.
I will like.
But I'm just like, it's just hard for me to think that far ahead.
Yeah.
It's just really hard.
Yeah.
But I will say, I don't want to be the contributor of those statistics.
No, I don't either. So we are playing the nice card and we are playing and we don't ever want to get to a point because I choose my husband.
Yeah.
And if my in-laws don't get along with him or if my parents didn't get along with him and they hated him and all of the things, I'm choosing my husband.
Yeah.
Because my parents, I love them, I adore them, I thank them, I appreciate them, but I chose my husband.
Right.
I didn't choose my parents.
Matters greatly.
It matters.
Yeah.
And not that I'd choose different parents. I wouldn't. I would choose my parents.
No.
But I chose my husband. He's the father of my children. And so I think that.
It comes down to it. You made a commitment to him.
I did.
You didn't make a commitment to his mom.
I didn't. And when it comes time to my daughter has kids or gets married, I don't want to be in a situation where she chooses him and then I'm not around, which she easily could do. She could easily say, like, with you, Hannah could easily, she lives in a different state now. She could easily be like, I'm not even going to see you on Christmas. I would be gutted.
Yeah.
Because we've always had, your relationship with your mom was different. Mine with Hannah was very involved, very unhealthy close. Like we just love each other. We were like the best of friends. Like Rory and Lorelai on the Gilmore Girls. Like that is our life. And like I would be gutted if like I said, I don't like your boyfriend or you're the dad of your kid. And then all of a sudden Hannah's like, well, I chose him. Goodbye, Mom.
Yeah.
So
you're trying to actively choose not to be the monster-in-law.
100%.
Good
He's
for
going to
you.
love me.
Or I will kill him.
He loves me. And I know he's listening, so thank you for listening. Your future mother-in-law
And-
loves you.
If you don't love me, I will poison your food.
Let's go to the jungle, baby.
Oh my
So
God.
anyways, all good things. This was a really, and I'm sure this is a really long episode, but I think there's a lot
I
of.
feel like you needed therapy today.
Seriously did.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you, all of you, for listening. I hope you
Yeah.
love me. I hope that I appreciate your support and love, because I don't feel it from my mother-in-law.
Oh my God.
So, but thank you all so much for listening today.
Well, you're not the only one. Like, we both have two different dynamics, and we can't be the only people out there like this.
No, and that's why I also think, again, and I'm never going to say this enough, why we are perfect for this podcast, because
We're so opposite.
We are. We have different experiences.
We're like really opposite.
We are.
That's okay though.
We give more advice that way.
We're both amazing though.
That's what we have in common.
We have to like pump ourselves up somehow, right?
Well, thank you all for being my therapy
Oh
today.
my
I hope it
God.
was a good show. I hope you give us 5 out of 5 stars.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and if you need somebody to talk to about your monster-in-law, we are here to listen. And if you need advice or if you want our opinion, we are really good about giving our opinion for sure.
100%. Thank you so much for
No
joining.
judgment.
Yeah, no judgment. God, no. Thank you so much for joining. Until next time,
Always speak your truth.
see ya.